So in the public charger market out there, according to data from the US Department of Energy, there's a lot of information about the various connectors that there are around the United States. So when you're out driving your electric car, you have places to charge if you're not able to get back to your house. And a lot of these charges are in places like restaurants, grocery stores. There's a lot of hotels, resorts, and spas. And about a third of them in the United States are proprietary chargers. So they're either specifically Tesla chargers or Tesla destination chargers. And that basically means that only Tesla vehicles can charge at those stations. And Tesla has about half of the total plug-in electrical vehicle market in the United States. And so that means that for a good chunk of the chargers out there, not every vehicle can use them. And so proprietary chargers have a complicated history, and there's something that can be maybe good, maybe bad for companies. They certainly aren't super great for competition, but Tesla has said they'd be happy to share their format, and the reason they built it is to make sure that there's advanced charging network for their own products. But if you're one of Tesla's competitors, it probably makes sense to not pick up those connectors. So there's a standard connector out there, I think it's J1772. That's what most of the level 2 chargers, that's what the connector type is called. And almost every electric vehicle, including Teslas, because they have hybrid connectors, can use those charging stations. But those Tesla destination stations, like I said, are just for Tesla. And we can see parallels to that for proprietary connectors, maybe outside of the automotive world and the general electronics world. Apple certainly has proprietary connectors, and they are still one of the most profitable companies in the world. But one other company we can think about is Sony. And Sony, if you think about that company, they had a huge amount of market share back in the early 2000s. Their stock, accounting for splits, hit its peak in the year 2000. And yet, Sony only has 1% of the total smartphone market share, which seems counterintuitive to where you'd think Sony would be based on their prominence 20 years ago. And some of that has to do with their devotion to having proprietary components. So even their cameras used proprietary memory sticks. So if you bought a new camera and you went from Sony, or you switched from your Sony camera to something else, you had to buy totally new accessories. And that's something that potentially tarnishes the brand. It means that they're not as competitive as they are today. So Tesla has a lot to think about. New York just passed legislation favoring those more open format connectors that aren't proprietary and favoring subsidies for them. So Tesla's not happy about this. They called it discriminatory, but it means that there's a lot to think about in this market, and things might change one way or the other as we hit this tipping point with the adoption of electrical vehicles.